Scott the philosopher.
I'm a philosopher. I'm a podcaster. I'm a parent.
Partner.
I'm
You're a partner.
Partner. Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Scott.
Sons of CPAs bonus episode where Nix and Scott share a small but useful piece of practical advice as it relates to running their professional accounting firms. Today's episode is brought to you by the letter P. So, I don't know if this episode relates so much to running accounting firm.
It's like marketing.
It's a peek
You're talking
behind the
about
curtain.
marketing for your accounting firm.
Yeah, but as at least it's another perspective on podcasting and what that means. Like, so anybody that doesn't listen to podcasts, they're obviously not listening to this, and there's a large percentage of the population. God, I'm killing it with these P words. Large percentage of the population that doesn't listen to podcasts. A lot of people that I talk to, how do I listen to a podcast? I've gotten that a lot. Like, yeah. I really want to listen to your podcast. I see all these posts. How do I listen to a podcast? That's interesting to me too, to start noticing that in real life. Like, wow, all right. Open up Spotify, you know? Oh, and if you're listening, please leave us a review on Spotify because that does reviews now. I just noticed that the other day. You can do stars on there. Yeah, reviews are good.
And
definitely, I got to start asking for reviews.
What I like about Spotify, I usually listen on just the podcast app on Apple, but the Spotify app actually updates with the pops. So each person has their own pop, picture. And so that's kind of cool. You get to see that. So if you want to listen, if you want to see the actual pop related to the episode, go to Spotify.
So the next thing is going to be on these previews, on the trailers. I'm going to put the pops moving their mouth, talking. I think that would be really dope. Instead of like, who needs to see us, right? Like, this is audio.
Yeah, because the first few I didn't know that you were going to put the videos
look a lot nicer
online,
today.
And so now I put myself together. I had no idea. Just do it on the ones where I don't look good.
Okay, do the pop.
So you're like, so all of them.
I could just publish the pop over, your face, right? I can just put the pop there, and that way when you're talking, you don't see you. It's just the pop there. So my daughter said she really likes the title, and I thought that was cool. That gave me a tear that she said she liked the title because she said it was simple and it made sense. It's literal and it's metaphorical, because to me, I wasn't going to do it if it didn't have a double meaning. So quite literally it is Sons of CPAs, but then the metaphorical is the next generation of accounting firms that are doing things quite differently. And it's not generation in an age mindset. It's a mindset, right? Like ushering in the next generation. That's like the next generation. I always get into this future talk and then the present talk and then the past talk. That's something that I got to frame my
you forget where you are.
Yeah, I forget where I am sometimes. I'm not as stupid as I sound. I'm too high.
Yeah, so, you seem like very well put together today.
Oh, cool.
That you didn't smoke, so I appreciate that.
I did a little bit.
Oh, so it's a perfect amount to keep you focused.
Yeah, it's portioning.
Yeah,
I have to watch the portion control.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I know you said you were cutting back, so.
Trying to cut back. So that allowed me to have a lot more balance in my life if I cut back. Because then I could actually get work done. I couldn't, like last year, I needed to find more ways to find work-life balance and get out of work. And not even last year, but the last 2 or 3 years. And it's helped me. Like, it's helped me stop stressing over everything. It's helped me become a lot more relaxed and be around my family more and enjoy being around them. I can enjoy, like, the little things. You know, I can enjoy life a lot more. But then I just started, I just started smoking way too much, and I had no balance in that. And I wasn't doing anything at the firm. And you know how much business we closed last month because I wasn't smoking and I was focused?
I need to see that.
$145,000 of new business. Yeah,
I need to see that, like the chart of showing the correlation between the amount of weed you smoke compared to the number of clients you close in a month.
It's so that's probably a new metric. It's a new scorecard metric, right?
It's a new scorecard for Scott.
That's the new KPI.
So you back into it. Say, this is your revenue goal. Okay, how much sales do I need to get? Okay, how much weed can I smoke?
How much weed do I need to smoke? Yeah.
In order to get there.
And also the great thing about that is now I can ease up on the gas and I can smoke freely for a little while until I want to dive back at the seasonality approach that you have mentioned before, to dive into things as you're needed and where you're needed, and then dive out as an owner. I always ask this to potential clients too. Like, do you have any books or podcasts that you would recommend? Actually, anybody that books something on my calendar, I ask that question. And
really?
I get a lot of the Bible. 2 different appointments today. So Atomic Habits and the Bible is the most recommended books. The Bible, yeah.
I feel like in California that wouldn't be as common of an answer.
That wouldn't go over as well? Yeah. Well, maybe because we're in the Bible Belt.
Like, you don't want to. You probably shouldn't be a client of ours if that's your number one podcast.
That's not even a podcast.
Oh, you're asking for books. I thought you said podcast.
Books or podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought the Bible had a podcast.
So maybe we should do a podcast where I read a page from the Bible, and then I rip it out and roll it up into a joint and smoke it. And then, poof, that page is out in the air, right? Because I've read it, so don't need to read it again on paper. I can listen back to it, and we can call the podcast The Bible. You know how many listens that would get? Like an exponentially large number if that doesn't exist.
If that doesn't exist, like...
We can do that. Gideon's Bible, or the Bible of this person's version.
Just read it.
Let's do that shit. That would be long as hell. You know how many episodes you could release of that? Like, that's a book.
So I'll be honest, I've never read the Bible.
Yeah.
Marcus
either.
is going to hate this episode. But I was thinking.
I know, he's not going to like
this episode. What if we read an excerpt and then did a modern day twist on it?
Oh, wow. And now I'm going to start telling people about this idea, and I still haven't finished up my other ideas. I got another idea to write a rap this year, too.
Oh.
I'm going to rewrite I'm going to say it on air now, too. CPAliens. So it's like ATaliens, but CPAliens. So maybe you don't know.
What are ATaliens?
ATaliens is Outkast. Outkast has an album called ATaliens.
Okay, is it like based on Atlanta?
Atlanta, yeah,
okay.
ATL. So ATL is in caps, and CPA is in caps, and aliens spelled with an A anyway. So it just looks great on paper anyway. And rewrite the song in the mode of an accountant, taxes, running a firm, all the words and phrases that we all know, and weave them together into that song like a rap. Rappers, they're the modern day philosophers, and that's another P word that we're going to use. Philosophy. You know, philosophers, rappers are today's modern day poets and philosophers. At least in my view, like that's where I get a lot of my philosophy lessons, like the real deeper hip hop and rap. It's got a lot of culture too.
Scott the philosopher.
That's what I aspire to be. Like if I say what I am, I'm a philosopher. One day I'm a podcaster. So these are 2 P's. I'm a parent. That's another P.
You're a pod.
I'm a husband.
Partner.
You're
a partner.
Partner. Yeah, I'm a partner. That's what I am first. I don't talk about Juana as much on this podcast as I should.
Well, yeah, you're Juana who didn't speak English, right, when you met her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Imagine that for somebody like me. She would just sit there and listen to me talk.
I know. I think that's the only way that you got to marry her. She didn't know what you were saying.
She still listens. She's a good listener. Can you imagine that? Like, just, I was waiting tables. She was a busser, and she didn't speak that much English. And most of our communication was actually unspoken. It was just the way that we were and the way that we worked together. I didn't need to talk. You don't need to talk to somebody that much when you're working, and you shouldn't need to, especially at a restaurant, because everything's moving so fast. You got to talk to the clients, the customers. You got to make sure everything's moving. And then the person that you're working with, you shouldn't need to talk to them. It should, because if I had to talk to the busser, or if I had to talk to a food runner or somebody, like, that was just a waste of time. Like, they should have known to clean off the table. When you're at a clean table at dinner, isn't a noticeable difference? A lot of unspoken things too. So we worked very well together, and we still do. But that's not really about podcasts. So I should release like a how-to. Stats does that a lot about his videos, the equipment that he uses, and it's a step-by-step, framework on how to do this. Anybody wants to learn more about podcasting, I'll give you the 101, answer your questions. You can find me anywhere now. I'm on Twitter now too. Follow me on Twitter. I got to get more followers now.
Yeah, follow us on LinkedIn too.
Follow our
job.
Sons of CPAs on LinkedIn. Yeah. Nicole's in charge of social media and CPE. She probably wants to delegate that one already. Yeah, so we can take 2 of these episodes and put the CPE on them. You can get CPE for listening to this too, especially at this point, and we'll have that shit down. So listen to CPE on podcasts. Oh, that's a learning thing too. Yeah. So I got to make it a little bit more educational to get some traction on the education stuff. Descript, back to that. Definitely check out Descript. Not only does it transcribe it, but it's a professional audio editing platform. I don't think I would be able to release these if I didn't have that. I needed to be able to see the words that I was editing at first. Because it was transcribed, I didn't have to just look at a wave of music moving and listen to it. I could do Command F and find all the fucks and get rid of them in that episode instead of having to listen for all of them.
Oh, wow, that's nice. So you can search the word, but it's actually something that someone said, and then it will.
So this is what happened early on. Out. Yeah. So some people repeat different things for their filler words. Some people say, some people say, and some people say something totally bizarre and they just keep filling their thoughts or their, some people can't have a lot of empty space in between words. So they fill it with filler words. And this platform, as I'm thinking, I noticed that if I don't know what I'm saying, as I'm editing, I can tell because the platform highlights all of the filler words, and there's a long list of different filler words, and you could edit down and get all the filler words out, and it just sounds so much cleaner and better. That the person that's talking, they sound better. I'm putting their best foot forward.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them talking and have it sound like they don't know what they're talking about because they have a lot of good things in there, and the audience may tune that out.
I will say too why that's important because I remember the first couple times I was on podcasts, I didn't want to do it. I almost said no. I think there's probably people out there that would be a good guest on the show, but are not confident about going on a podcast. But if the podcast you're going on is well edited and that person is thoughtful about it, they'll make you look good. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I did it a lot with yours. You said like a Valley girl.
I've gotten better, though. I've been trying to get better.
You have gotten a lot better. Yeah.
Because I think about it. Every time I say I think of you now.
Yeah.
But no, it's good. I need to be better about it.
If you don't know and you're not aware of things, you can't change them. And that's the difference between being kind and nice. A kind person, they will tell it how it is. And usually that gets a bad rep. But even if somebody insults you and tells you something, if they're telling you the truth, I think that's kinder. That's better than somebody just blowing smoke up your ass or not saying anything at all. If you got something stuck in your teeth, right?
Yeah.
Like the person that tells you that, don't you appreciate the hell out of that?
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like those are, going on a tangent here, some of our best clients because they will tell us what they want. And then meanwhile, there'll be another client that we're servicing for 2 years. And then they'll be like, well, you didn't do this. And we're like, well, you didn't tell us you wanted the reports earlier. This is our default. We can do that for you. Or we didn't tell you didn't tell us that. So
that's not a tangent because we got to make this related to that too. Yeah. So the difference between somebody being kind and nice, I think will, to be honest with people. I've always been honest, and sometimes it's to a fault. People think I'm an asshole sometimes. I don't really care because usually they come around.
I don't see that. You're not that blunt.
You know what I do? I noticed this now. I don't think I've ever realized this. I'm very honest about good things about somebody. Like the things that most people may not tell you, I'll say it. It's usually I'm too nice to people, but I'm always speaking the truth. Like Ackerman makes fun of me on an episode if I was telling, somebody all the things that was great about them or the things that I don't even know them that well. And people appreciate that. I did it on your episode too. And, Ackerman was like, making fun of me for that shit. But
No, you
most
always
people
do that. You always
yeah,
you find the good in people, and that's why you're a likable person.
yeah, that's all I
And I
choose to
like
see too.
compliments, so I'll take it.
Everybody does,
What I'm
don't they?
saying.
Like that was,
Yeah, but not everyone
but
gives
like
them.
not everybody gives them. I do love compliments, man. I would butter me up with a compliment,
Me
and
too.
I'm your friend for life. Like, and I will take it all. The What I do hate is if somebody gives a compliment and they don't mean it. I absolutely hate that. If somebody tells you something and you think they meant it and they really didn't, oh fuck that. Like that would piss me the hell off. Especially lying about something like that because I'm very trusting. So anybody is dishonest to me once, they usually don't get a second
I
option.
hate people that lie, or I hate when
Yeah.
people lie. Yeah, I'm
And
the
I
same
will
way.
always remember when they lied, and I will never trust them again.
Right.
It's terrible. I lie sometimes too, though. Usually it's to about myself. I've tried not to. Like I tell truth sometimes too, or most. I tell too many truths. Talk about selling
So you
drugs
should
and
maybe
shit.
white lie a
Yeah.
little more, is what you're saying. Be too
I should
honest.
white lie. Yeah, yeah. There it is. So podcasts, I think, are truth serums, and yeah, I don't want to overindulge on talking about this podcast. So
No, I
I
think it's
hope there were some
interesting. Like, I
takeaways.
think the story, because people don't know the meaning behind Sons of CPAs necessarily, and then the pops, how you started it.
So let's bring it back in. So in the beginning, I did mention if you want to do this to clients, check out Make It Count.
Oh, yes.
That's
I
a
love
good
Marcus's.
example of somebody doing it. And Summit CPAs also has one that's client facing for digital agencies. So think about your niche. And I'd love to talk about verticals and figure out a P word that positioning, I think, is the one I was thinking of. But position your marketing to your intended audience, to that persona that you're marketing to. And a podcast is a great way to do that. That's what we talked about in Marissa's episode. She mentioned that she may start a podcast. She says it's too much work, but maybe she listens to this episode and realizes.
You know what? I think, like, I personally, if I'm trying to find more information on something and I can't find it through Google search, what I've started doing is searching that key term on podcasts. So, for example,
Ooh.
this weekend I wanted to learn more about the metaverse and buying land in the metaverse because that article came out about this CPA firm that bought some land. And so I couldn't find the information I wanted online. So I Google search or went on Apple Podcasts
Podcast
and
search,
searched
yeah.
metaverse and then listened to like a handful of podcasts on it.
Get some good info? Or get more confused?
Yes, both. I think that virtual reality is going to become a bigger part of our lives, but I'm not sure about this idea of a finite place where you can buy land. Like, I kind of get it. I could see the advertise. So Snoop has a compound in the metaverse, and as soon as he started that, the property around him, the value went up because you have to like walk around in this virtual reality, and if you're going to see Snoop perform, you have to walk by this other property. So then you think about it, you could advertise whatever on this property. So all these people in this virtual world who are like people like you and I in this world can then see pageant, office or advertisement.
That's another good P word. Yeah.
It ultimately comes down to where people's eyes. It's just another way to advertise or another way to get people to see you.
That's like when I'm not high, I can really think about it better. Like I'm not high enough to talk about that because I think this is all we're doing.
High enough to
Effectively,
talk about that.
I'm not high enough to talk about that. All we're doing is recreating the real world in a virtual so what you're talking about is if there is a popular place that people go, obviously it's more expensive and there's real estate near there and there's advertising near there. Where people's eyes are, that's where you're advertising. So
Right.
all we're going to do is re-manifest everything that we're already doing in this world, in that world. And that makes sense to me. But I'm just not high enough to indulge in that talk because honestly, I could give a shit. Like I don't really
Maybe when we go to
care.
Santa Barbara, we can like do some mushrooms and really think about the metaverse. But then I was like, well, yeah, I mean, maybe in 10 years or 5 years, we'll be meeting with clients at a virtual office and we'll be just like but I just feel like virtual reality has had like for years they've been trying to do it. So, but Facebook or Meta is putting billions of dollars into this, and there's all these VC companies that are putting so much money into VR right now. I don't know.
Well, because there's so much money, they need to spend it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And they need to.
But is it going to get any better? Because they've been trying to do this for decades. So I don't know.
I think it's going to be. I think in our lifetime, we will live in a world that's like the Matrix, but light. It's like an LITE version of the Matrix where we're going to plug in. That's how we're going to get all of our stimulation, and we're going to fucking live in our houses, and it scares me. Like maybe it's not the Matrix, maybe it's like the Ready Player One world and the Oasis. Like it's scares the hell out of me because, and it also excites me. Like I think that's a way for anybody to feel have like they're together too. I don't know. Like God, I don't know.
It's the closest thing to teleporting you can get. But from an investment perspective, even if it doesn't become anything, I suppose, just like anything, if you buy stock or if you buy Bitcoin, as long as it goes up and you aren't the last person holding it when it goes to shit, you can make some money on it as long as it keeps going up. So I don't know. Maybe I'll be a metaverse landholder next time you talk to me.
Oh God, I wouldn't put it past you. We recorded for an hour on podcast. Thanks everybody for listening. Please leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if you'd like to reach us, find us on our LinkedIn page, follow us, and
share
leave a comment in there. Yeah, if you talk to us on that LinkedIn page, that's the way to reach us. We have a huge lineup of guests. We've got Ron Baker coming next week. This episode may release before his, but oh man, that's going to be exciting. Stay tuned, listeners. Oh, the music. That was what's kept us hanging. So my friend from high school made the music, and I love it. Like I think the music is great. And at first, I was just, what really got me hooked was it got stuck in my head the first day that this is a podcast music. I don't know how he said it, but man, I like doing the trailers just because I put the music in there. That shit's fun too. What do you think of the music?
I was just thinking I need to go. I can't remember. I mean, once I hear it, I'll recognize it. But just like,
I wish I could just play it right now. I mean, I definitely can, but I don't have a clean way of doing that, so it goes into your headphones.
I'm gonna go listen to it.
Not the most educational topic as it relates to running a professional accounting firm. Bye, Nicole.
Bye, Scott.